Greetings, folks. This is Captain Jack, and this is the Black Shield and Galleon Wheel podcast, and I am honored to have with me Hall of Fame offensive lineman, Mr. William Roaf. Thank you there, Mr. Roaf. And what would you prefer I call you, sir?
Just call me Willie.
All right. Well, I've known you as Willie for a while, but I noticed that in the bio it said William, so I definitely didn't want to do anything that was untoward to you, sir.
Well, my mother liked for them to call me William, especially when I got older. She didn't like Willie, so my mother liked William.
I do know that it's not an unknown subject to me. I always remembered looking at you when you had those really awesome glasses that you would wear when you were a Saint. And I said that if I'm going to have to wear glasses, I'm going to make sure that they were really cool glasses like he used to wear.
Yeah, you know what happened was while I was playing in New Orleans, I decided to get LaTech surgery when we had training camp in Thibodeau. So they let me get the LaTech surgery for free. So at training camp, we promoted that I had the LaTech surgery done, and it's worked pretty well for me. I wear reading glasses, but I still see pretty well, and I had that procedure done back in 2000, before the 2001 season, I think. Maybe 2000, I think it was the 2001 season.
You come from a very diverse and highly honored family.
Well, my dad and mom both made it Michigan. Let's go a little backstory. My dad played football. He's from Pine Bluff, from Bell High School, back when he played back in the late 50s, and when things were a little different. So, you know, he went to an all-black school, and at that time, if you remember, you had to play, you know, back then he had to go up north to play football. You know, they were in the football, the sports programs were integrated. So my dad and mom met on the blind date at Michigan State, and he played for Dora Duffy, and they were both zoology majors, so they both were science majors. My dad went towards me up in high school, I think, and in college, so he never really got to play, and he had to hold dummies, but he had to keep his grade points up at a certain GPA. So after college, he went to dental school at Howard, and at that point, after he finished dental school, my dad moved down to Arkansas before my mom. My sister was born, my oldest sister, Phoebe, was born in D.C., and then she moved on to Arkansas, and that's when he started his practice in Arkansas. And my mom worked at the Arsenal, which was kind of a lab for the state, in the laboratory. And then after I was born, in the mid-'70s, my mom decided to go to law school. Graduated second in her class, and she was in private practice for a while, and she got appointed by the governor to the state Supreme Court, which she was the first African-American to get appointed in the 90s, in the late 90s, 97, 98, and then she went on to serve on the Court of Appeals also in the state of Arkansas. My sister, very smart, went to Harvard and Princeton, history major, cum laude, then she went to Princeton, public relations. And 20 years after my mom had graduated from UALR Little Rock, she went to law school at UALR, graduated, became an attorney, didn't like that, and she found, you know, the hours in law can be very long. So then she found her calling and went on to seminary school and became an Episcopal preacher 10, 15 years ago, and now she just got appointed Bishop of Tennessee.
That's a wonderful and proud family you have, so congratulations on all that, sir. A mom who was the first black lady to be on the Supreme Court, and then your sister being an Episcopal minister, and of course you being a multiple Hall of Famer in both the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I guess there can't be a more diverse and honored family if I've ever got a chance to speak to one, sir.
Yeah, you know, I would say I'm a little diverse, and my wife would tell you also have an eclectic group of friends that I hang out with. You know, so I'm well-rounded. I like to, you know, my thing is treat people like you want to be treated, and, you know, it doesn't matter who it is. You know, we treat people good, and we try to put God first now in our life and in our marriage, and, you know, that's been a big thing for me. As I gotten older, you know, my dad was very proud of me finding a wife. We've been married 5 years, and trying to live life the right way, and, you know, it's always growth in life. I'm almost 50 now, so just take it one day at a time and try to work out and take care of myself the best I can, and life's good. So, you know, I'm just trying to I have 2 daughters, you know, I have 4 kids and a stepdaughter, but my daughter, one going to Jupiter High School. My youngest from New Orleans, she's a straight A student, and she says she wants to be an anesthesiologist. You know, it comes pretty easy to her, so she doesn't really she got 100 on her biology test, but she's very smart. And I have another going to Palm Beach College that I think she might want to be going to criminal justice and being an attorney. Son is going to UNO in New Orleans, and he's a straight A student. And he's in business administration. He just called me today, and he's going to take the summer trip from University of New Orleans. They're going to Japan for a little over a month, and I made sure I put a college fund away when I played, so these kids would have a chance to get a good start with their education. So, and I have a daughter in Knoxville, my second grandchild on the way, and then my stepdaughter's in Los Angeles working. So, you know, we have her spread out, and we keep everything moving and make sure these kids and grandkids are going to be successful.
Well, that's awesome, sir. And I'm going to take you back to high school in Pine Bluff. It's stated that you actually had more of a feeling towards basketball over football. Now, granted, I know that you are a very large man. I say that obviously with respect, being, you know, an offensive lineman. I can't picture shall we say, a slender Willie Roaf playing basketball, but you tell me where I'm wrong there.
Well, if you go back, I can send you a picture. And when I was in high school in Pine Bluff, the organized sports that were big at the time were football and baseball. You know, when I went pro, Torrey Hunter, I don't know if he's a baseball player that was outstanding, potential Hall of Famers, came out of my high school, and he has a chance to go in the Hall. He played for the Minnesota Twins and Anaheim, the Angels, and a couple of teams, but Torrey and I are good friends, and another guy by the way of Don Hudson is from my high school, one of the greatest receivers of all time. Went to my high school and played for Bear Bryant, who played with him and played for Alabama in the 30s. So in high school, I started playing Little League football, and I was bigger than everybody and taller, but I was, about 6'5", 6'3", 6'4", by the time I made the high school, but you know, my dad was 6'3.5", and he was 215 in high school. And in high school, I was about 225. So we had a big basketball tournament called the King Cotton Classic. Dick Vitale came my senior year. We played against Flint Hill in the first round. We lost that game close. Second round, we played against L.A. Fairfax. We had teams come from all over the country. I had 15-10 against Fairfax. Chris Mills was there. He wasn't at that game, but we played them a close game. They were one of the top schools in L.A. You know, I love basketball. I went to basketball camp when Scottie Pippen came out and got Mr. Rebound. Jim Calhoun had just got to Connecticut. I got a letter from UConn because I did real good at that basketball camp, but I was a little raw in basketball. So what happened was my senior year, I probably played about 225. You know, I had Arkansas asked me to walk on. First, I didn't have any scholarships. Louisiana Tech came. They were going Division I the next year. They came looking at two guys that were all state on my team. They went and took a visit and committed. They saw me on tape. I went down and I committed after that, and then Arkansas State offered me. But I already had offers when I left camp from University of Central Arkansas, Southeast Missouri. I don't think my basketball coach told me all the offers I had in basketball. I think my dad probably had something to do with that because he knew that I should have been playing football. And I'm about 6'4" and 5'8", 6'5" barefoot. I just think he felt like I was going to be better at football than basketball. I will say this. If I had been 6'6", 6'7", I probably would have kept playing basketball. Maybe he would have told me the offers I had. If it happened, I went to Louisiana Tech. We were going Division I. We had a great coaching staff. Pat Tilley, Steve Ensminger was the coordinator at one LSU. And my line coach, PDP Rowe, played in the pros. Joe Ferguson was the quarterback coach. Mike Barber used to come help with the tight ends. So we had a lot of pros around. We ran a pro set offense. We had to flip-flop the whole game. So you had to play left hand, right during the close of the game. Went back then, everybody was running the flex ball, wishbone, and all that stuff where you ran the ball, but you didn't know how to pass to take as much. So it really lent me to my strengths being quick and athletic and using my arms and being able to use my quickness, which I think I developed a lot playing basketball. When I started gaining weight, I didn't really want to lift weights in high school. I went straight from football to basketball, so I wasn't doing all the lifting. I wasn't into powerlifting and all that stuff. And when I got to college, we started lifting and doing the power cleans and a lot of bench. And I never was a big squat guy, but incline bench, I was very, very strong. I'm still strong now. You know, I got quicker as I got bigger. I got red-shirted, and after that, I started my red-shirt freshman year. By my red-shirt sophomore year, we had a guy by the name of Eddie Brown. We had from Fort Scott Junior College, Antonio Brown's dad. Probably one of the best teams in Tech history, went 8-3, beat Colorado State, beat Southern Miss, I think. We played Auburn. They kicked the field goal to beat us at Auburn. They were ranked number 5. We had the number 2 or 3 rushing offense in the country. We had one of the top defenses, and we tied Maryland in the Independence Bowl. By the time I was a redshirt freshman, so when I got there and they realized how good an athlete I was and I gained weight, they told me, Willie, if you take it, Hokie Gojan was a scout too. He came down there and asked about me when I was a redshirt freshman. So I pretty much knew when I was a redshirt sophomore, I knew how big and athletic I was. I didn't really understand that I was bigger and more athletic than a lot of guys my size in the country, running and jumping and dunking and doing the stuff I was doing. And then I was fast. So I knew I thought to myself, if I stay and take care of my business, which I didn't like going to class all the time, but I got a chance to go pro. How I did not know, but I knew that by the time I was 20 years old, 20 was my redshirt sophomore year, that I would have a good chance to go to the NFL.
And you were a first-round pick, I believe number 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Number 8, well, that in itself, coming from Louisiana Tech, I mean, I was the first-round pick in Louisiana Tech history. I forgot about Roger. There's Bradshaw in 70, then a receiver, and then me. From Louisiana Tech, a team that was independent. I wasn't even recruited heavily. We were 5-6 my senior year. We did play Alabama. I had a real good game. So you got to understand, I went top 10 from Louisiana Tech, an independent school, small school that wasn't even on TV that much. So before my senior year, I got invited to the Hula Bowl. I knew I had a 6.0, 7.0 combine rating, like a 6.0. The bunch of us that were second, third round projected picks. The guy that was the man that probably should have left his junior year was Lincoln Kennedy. He probably would have been a top 5 pick when they won the Rose Bowl that year, and he decided to go back to Washington. Well, he got banged up and didn't work out at the combine, and then we go on our senior year. I play in the Hula Bowl and I play in the Shrine Game. He didn't work out at the combine. At the combine is where I ran the 4.9. My vertical was 24-25, whatever. My bench press 225, 27 times or whatever. I was real good in the shuttle. So I took his spot after the combine, and I think the combine solidified me moving in as the top 10 pick. But that's a kid coming out of Louisiana Tech that was barely recruited, that we were independent. So we didn't play on TV. We played the big school. We were on the road a lot. I worked my butt off to get where I had to go.
Now, you were talking about playing for LaTech. That's I would say a smaller Division I school. Did you get a chance to play against anybody in that league play? I mean, I know you played against Alabama, but I'm talking about within your league. Was there anybody else out of the league that might have made it to the pros afterward that you remember?
Like I said, we were just going Division I then, so we were Division II in '88. We went Division II my redshirt freshman. There was a guy that I played against 4 years. There was a real good defensive lineman. What's his name? James. I forget his name. He played for USL, Louisiana Lafayette. But when he went pro, they moved him to offensive line, and he ended up playing in the league about 10 years. He played for Seattle. I forget his last name, but he was a D lineman. And back then they used to move a lot of D linemen to O linemen. Like when I got to the Saints, Richard Cooper, I played D-line for Tennessee, got moved to O-line. He was starting at left tackle my rookie year, and I started at right. But he started a couple of years, then I moved to left my second year, he moved to right. Then he got played by Philadelphia Eagles, but he's a good player. So they were moving a lot of guys around. I might think of his name. It was James something. He's a good football player. You had Roosevelt Potts in Monroe, Louisiana Monroe, and you had Louisiana Lafayette had some good teams. You had Orlando Thomas, the safety that went pro, the guy with his soul, Minnesota. He passed away from ALS a few years ago. He was a real good football player. So you had a few guys that were going. We had 4 guys drafted with my class that went pro, and another tried out and made practice squad. So we had 5 guys from Louisiana Tech that went pro out of my class. So, we had some golden years for our program. I don't know if they had that many years ago. But I won the first round. Doug Evans won the 4th round to Chicago. Artie Smith won the 5th round in San Francisco. And Doug Evans didn't go to combine. He had a 4.37, and he played safety at LaTech, but he's tall. And they moved him to corner. He won the 6th round of Green Bay, and he played 10, 11 years. He probably had the best career other than me, and he got a Super Bowl ring in Green Bay. And then you had Barry Rollins, who was a free agent and stayed in the league 3 or 4 years from Winsboro, Louisiana.
That sounds like an outstanding group of guys that you played with. So you had an outstanding group there at LaTech, and you go to the Saints. Now, what's it like in the Superdome for the rabid Saints fans, and what are some of your best memories of the Saints, the Superdome, Tom Benson, anything you'd like to talk about for your Saints experience?
Well, the first thing I remember was I was projected between 5 and 8. I got a chance to play Alabama, so I had Curry. My last year against Alabama, they won a national championship in '92. Not a lot of offense. Gene Stallings was an excellent coach, and they had a great defense like they always had. But they had about 6, 7, 8 guys off that defense go pro. But that year they had 2 top 10 picks. They had John Copeland went 5, Curry to Cincinnati, and they said I might go there. And then Curry went 6 to Tampa Bay. And then 7 was Curtis Conway from U.S. receiver, went to Chicago. And Pat Swilling got traded to Detroit. And ironically, Wayne Fox was at Michigan State with my father. Wayne Fox, Sherman Lewis, my dad's one of his roommates for a little while was Herb Adderley, Hall of Famer. But Wayne Fox was at Michigan State with my father. So the Saints, traded the 8th pick, Detroit to the Saints. And the Saints took me with the 8th pick. And then they got a 4th round pick with that too. And they took fullback, Lorenzo O'Neal, one of the best fullbacks ever played, him and Tony Richardson. So that's how I ended up going there. They traded the pick and I ended up going to New Orleans. What I do remember was I was the last player, first round that Jim Finks drafted. Well, me and Irv Smith went 20, whose son's at Alabama, his son had potential to be a first round pick, real good tight end. But we never got to meet Jim Finks. Jim Finks got sick right after the draft, and he had lung cancer, and he ended up passing away. And then Jim Finks is a Hall of Fame GM. So I was Jim Finks' last pick that went to the Hall of Fame, and I never got a chance to meet him.
Yeah, a great guy, Mr. Finks. I know. Obviously, I'm a little bit on the old school side. I got you by about 3 or 4 years there, Willie. I'm going to be 54 in a month, but again, I know old school NFL guys, and one of the best player personnel gentlemen ever to come out was Mr. Finks. So bravo that you be the last pick that he had that was a Hall of Famer. So obviously you saw something great in you.
Yeah, I think he did, and I had a show with Buddy Dunn-Liberto and Buddy D, and he was a great guy. I had a radio show with him one year. It was the year I gained weight, so the Saints fans got on me, and I went to Duke that off season and really that's when I got serious, and before the 98 season, running around and doing some stuff I did in 97, and I had to learn and take better care of my body. But like I said, it was, I got drafted like I was a hometown boy, and nobody really knew that much about me, and, I just wanted to go in there and get on camp on time and prove myself. And that's exactly what I did. I got into camp. On time. I knew that Bob Whitfield, my friend at the time, had missed camp at Atlanta, and then a lot of guys were coming into camp late. So I just wanted to get in camp on time. And I remember at mini camp, Coach Moore tells a story always that he saw me moving around, walking around. He said, "This guy looks like he's crippled," walking, me moving around, and when I got tired, they used to call me the Duke in college because I would lean to the side and walk funny. But when I got to running, I could run. So Coach Moore thought, shit, we just drafted a cripple. I thought something was wrong with me before I ever played it down. And then obviously I changed his mind when he saw me run. But it was a lot of fun. I got in camp on time. Funny story, Tootie Robbins we had picked up Tootie Robbins from Green Bay. I guess so they expected him to start. Gave him $500,000 signing bonus, and that was a lot of money in '93. Well, Tootie had a trick shoulder, and we were doing a lot of banging at training camp. So Tootie popped that shoulder out because they weren't doing all that hitting. And what happened was Tootie stopped practicing. They ended up cutting Tootie from after training camp. And when they cut Tootie, after we played in the American Bowl, I ended up taking a starting job, and I started every time I went the year.
And it was a start of I believe, an 8-year career in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, sir?
9 years.
9 years.
I started my first 57 games. I didn't miss a play until I hurt my knee. I sprained my knee in my 57th game. Before that game, I hadn't missed a play. Our dressing room was like 7 guys. So.
What was your practice squad like back then as far as numbers of players?
We didn't dress a lot of linemen. We only dressed 7 linemen. Back then, you might have had 4 or 5 guys on the practice squad.
Okay, and they didn't
have a lot of practice squad. I'm just saying the practice squad. We just didn't dress. So we dressed 7 linemen. So you would have either one lineman, one guy that could play center and guard, and you would have one lineman that could flip out the tackles. You had to have somebody that could play the tackles, and the other lineman was either going to have to play center and either or guard if somebody went down.
Right, your swing tackle and then your interior lineman. Got it. Okay.
Or you sometimes some teams would even have a tight end that they might move down there to play tackle if they had to. In case of mercy.
You gave me the good segue. You played phenomenally for all these years, and then you had your injury. Now, obviously, was that the start of their thinking in New Orleans that they needed to have you move on, or did they move on from the injury a couple years after that?
No, I hurt my knee. You know what? That's a good question. I hurt my knee in '96. I had a 3rd-degree sprain in my MCL, but I came back and finished the year. I think my knee started popping and locking in. So I think I didn't know and they didn't know, but I think I probably had partially torn my ACL back then because, I had a scope on my knee in '98. After '97, I went to Duke, got in real good shape, but I played a lot of basketball, and too much basketball, and then I had to get my knee scoped in the middle of the season, and I only missed 1 game. After that, and my knee would, as the years progressed, my knee would pop and lock all the time. I remember 2000 season, he really started doing it a lot more. 2001, I was just running the guy around the quarterback. We were playing the Atlanta Falcons at home, and my knee just buckled and gave out. And when that happened, I had a knee scope, and I wasn't a bleeder. And after that happened, my knee started bleeding, and I drained it, and I didn't know it was torn. So I was kind of in and out the lineup. I had that off season before that. I had just signed an extension. So this was the deal. It was 3 options. They could pick up my extension. They could keep me under my original deal that I had, or they didn't have to pick it up. So what happened was, the year I signed the extension, I hadn't gotten the money yet because I was going into the last year of my contract. I think I was going into the last year of my deal. The deal I signed a 7-year deal, so I signed that. And I was going into the last year of that deal. So they were trying to extend me a few more years. Well, then I get hurt, and when I got hurt, I was in and out the lineup, and I went and saw Dr. Andrews. And when I saw Dr. Andrews, he said, "Look, you wouldn't be here if something wasn't wrong with you. This is around Thanksgiving." When he went in to do the surgery, which he had to repair my meniscus too, because I was tearing my cartilage up inside the right knee. My ACL was torn at the top on the bone, not in the middle, so it flipped off the top of the bone. So every time I get an MRI, it wouldn't look like it was torn because it wasn't torn in the middle, so you couldn't see the tear because it was up on the bone. So it was torn. Like I said, that's why I feel like it was partially torn because it wasn't torn in the middle. If I had probably torn it right then that day, it probably would have been torn in the middle or a different area. I think I partially tore when I sprained that MCL, but it was still holding and didn't tear all the way. And even after I tore it, I had strong leg muscles, so it would buckle. And I'm pretty sure I played a couple games with that torn ACL, but I didn't know. The team didn't know. I was frustrated. I was upset. Because I knew something went wrong. I went and saw Dr. Andrews. I got fixed up in Birmingham, down south. It was some other stuff going on in my personal life, but that's beside the point. The point was that I was injured. So, and I ended up getting traded in March of 2002.
I'm going to give a good segue for you. You go from New Orleans, which is known for its food, and we're going to get back to food in a minute, to another positive food place, going to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't know if you checked out my profile there, Willie, but Captain Jack is definitely a known Raider persona, so it's always great to talk about the Chiefs because there is one thing that a Raider fan and a Chief fan can always agree upon is that you're going to have some very heated games between these two rivals. So you go from the Saints to Kansas City. Tell me about some of your experiences in Kansas City, about what it was like, who you played for, playing in Arrowhead, and if you can, think of some of the one or two memorable games you played against the Raiders.
Well, I will say this. If you want to go indoors, you got the loudest stadium and provided the best fans, you got New Orleans. If you want to go outside and play, it's no better atmosphere than playing in Arrowhead Stadium when it's rocking. And I will say the Raiders, it's tough out there to play. Even though they're even moving, those Raider fans still show up. But when I got to Kansas City, Vermeil had been there. He had just gotten there the year before. He had come out of retirement. We were doing a lot of banging in practice then, too. And that's part of the reason he left the Rams, because of the way they practiced. And, the coordinator took over as the head coach. But I knew Priest Holmes had a great year the year before, rushed for 1,600 yards or whatever, and every time you looked on SportsCenter, it was all about Priest. The problem was John Tate had gotten drafted in '99. He had got off to a rough start at left tackle, and then Carl Peterson had kind of cursed him a little bit or whatever, and he was a Mormon, so that situation was a little rocky. So he was still trying to figure out how to be a pro. I had been in the league 9 years. I understood that. I had played in the West Coast system, all kinds of systems. So when I got to Kansas City in '02, John was taller, but his arms weren't as long. So he was 6'6", but he had kind of shorter arms, and I have long arms. So John moved to right, and then they put me in there left. And I think he was a little upset about it, but, I was cool. And Brian Waters had played in the NFL Europe, and I think that's why they started this AAF, so they can develop more players and keep them over here. I think that's why the NFL didn't look involved with this AAF now, because the NFL Europe produced a lot of excellent football players, some potential Hall of Famers. Brian Waters went to a lot of Pro Bowls. Leroy Glover, who I played with in New Orleans, played in the NFL Europe. So the NFL Europe was very good at developing players. It's the guys on practice squad or whatever. What happened was they already had Will Shields, who I came out with. He beat me for the Outland Trophy, Casey Wegman, and Johnny Tate, who was a first-round pick, moved over right. And Brian Waters, who probably athletically and just as a football player, raw football player, was the most talented out of all of us. And they had me in left tackle. And Brian didn't want to work out, but he could go in there and bench 500 pounds whenever he got ready. So he was just a freak of nature type of athlete from North Texas that played fullback and moved the offensive line. But everything fell into place. And I will tell you, that line in 2000 in New Orleans, I would say, you asked me about games. That year, all of us played all 16 games. Turley, Jerry Fano, Wally Williams with me, and Chris Naoli. We had a real good line, and Ricky and all the guys went down, and it was running back by committee. McCarthy was the coordinator, and that's how we ended up winning that playoff game against the Rams and everything, because we set the tone, and that was the 1 year. Now, I played with a lot of quarterbacks and not a good players a lot of times in New Orleans. Well, the difference was when I got to Kansas City, I played on probably the best line in football at that time, and we set the tone every week. And we had Tony Gonzalez, who's one in the Hall this year, Will, myself. Tony Richardson, one of the best football players I played with. Trent was a pro. He wasn't going to move around, but if you protected him, he would put it on the money and get rid of it. We came to play every week, and it was so much fun playing up there. I will say this, probably the worst football game I ever played. I don't remember what year it was. We were in Oakland, and it was cold and rainy. They had a storm out there, Captain Jack, and it was 04, 05. In one of them years, I remember Johnny Moore, after the game, it was like puddles of water on the field. It was freezing cold out there. Johnny Morton, after that game, he was shivering and shaking. He couldn't get his body temperature up after that game. And at that time, the Raiders were going through a transition time, well, they're still going through a transition. And we pretty much beat y'all beat them most every time we played. But when we played out in Oakland, it was always a tough game. But we were winning most of the games. But it wasn't a snow game for me. I didn't play a lot of them. But that game in Oakland, when we played on that soggy, wet field, probably one of the toughest games that I ever played in my career was out in Oakland. Because the field didn't drain. You know, that field doesn't drain properly, and it was just puddles of water, and then you had the baseball stuff with the dirt up in it. So it was a tough game to play. I think we ended up pulling it out.
Well, I tell you, Kansas City for quite a while has been pulling it out against the Raiders, and I tell you, like I said, there's a Kansas City-Oakland game is always going to be memorable. The last one, the time that the Raiders played out in Kansas City, got embarrassed for their last game of the year, but the game this year in Oakland was a very tough one, close, hard fought. So that's the way KC Oakland games usually are. That's the reason why I always want to make sure that if I'm watching the game, that's going to be one of the ones I'm going to go out and see.
Yeah, it was a good battle, and Warren Sapp was on that team, and they played a 3-4, and he was head up on me some of those years, but he wasn't really. He's a gap defensive tackle, not a 3-4 guy. But they had a big old nose guard who they had Ted Washington. You couldn't do it. They had some big boys up there, and like I said, they played hard. But that game in those conditions was one of the toughest I ever played. And the difference between us and Oakland too. In Kansas City, we had a fast track. We cut the grass real short so you could run on it, and we wanted to get the traction, and we wanted to be able to get out and run. So our field was made for running. In Oakland, in like San Francisco, some of these other teams, Denver, they had the grass longer. So you couldn't run, You couldn't get out and run. You had to, it was soft. You'd have to wear those long spikes. I didn't like wearing the spikes. It made my back tight. Every time I had to wear my back tight, when I got in those type of fields, it would wear you down because it was tougher to move around on those fields in that long grass with it soggy and those spikes. They would just wear me down. If I was at home or I was on the field where I could wear those molds, just the rubbers, it made my day easier. It made my game easier. Tampa, I could wear molds. But, those fields in Oakland and San Francisco, that weather, it was very tough, and by the end of that game, I would be hurt.
How do you feel about the NFL moving into Las Vegas with the Raiders? I mean, obviously, as somebody that's been around the league for a while, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's very expensive in Oakland. I understand that they're not going. There's a lot of money to build these NFL stadiums and stuff. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think they're going to get a new stadium. I think the good thing is, from Oakland, they can jump on a flight from Oakland to Vegas and be there in 45 minutes to an hour. So if they're going to move and they're not moving that far, they're going to be able to build that stadium way cheaper than they are in Oakland. They've been fighting over money to how they were going to get the money to build it anyway. And I think that they're moving to Vegas. I mean, a lot of Oakland fans will be able to go there. They'll be able to get some rooms. A lot of them probably got some family members or friends that are in Vegas. So I think the Oakland fans will be able to go see a lot of football, and they can go up there and have a real good time. You got a lot of Oakland fans in that area, all up and down California, in San Diego, all over the state. So you'll have a lot of L.A. too. They were in L.A. a long time. So a lot of Oakland fans will be able to get up there and get to see them play in Vegas in that brand new, beautiful stadium. So I think it's going to be a great situation because it's not going to be that hard to get to Vegas. And who doesn't want to go to Vegas to watch football and get away for a weekend?
Most definitely. Willie, I tell you, what game is the most memorable pro game that you can remember playing and why?
Well, I'd say it's two of them, both the playoff games. The playoff game we won, that first playoff game, they had the snakes on the field before the game in New Orleans to break the curse. And the hex, the voodoo or whatever, and we won against the Rams. And then the playoff game, the year we went 13-3, and I think we might have punted once. Nobody had punted. Indianapolis didn't even punt, and we got beat in the playoffs. And we had that great football season and had home field and got beat. in the playoffs. So, anytime you get a chance to play in the playoffs, a lot of fun. I mean, I had a lot of good individual games. We got off to a slow start in '04. Atlanta had the top rushing defense in the league, and they came in the Arrowhead, and we had eight rushing touchdowns on them in one game. You scored 56 touchdown points, and you rushed about 8 times. 8 touchdowns, 3 running backs. That's a pretty fun day for offensive line.
I tell you, being an old offensive lineman myself, definitely not with any of the ability that you had. I always used to enjoy, just smacking that guy across from you and having the guys have a good day running and making sure that your quarterback stays fresh. That always is a good game for you.
It's always good, especially when you're mixing it up. The difference in this league, like you said, is a lot of passing. A lot of they run the ball when they have to, and New England ran the ball well in the playoffs this year. But it's the most fun for offensive line is mixing it up, running past, especially when you get that run game going. It opens up the play action and everything. And anytime you get to end the game, running the clock out and running the ball, and you see that defensive line, getting tired and breaking to your will. I mean, that's a lot of fun. And like I said, I played with a special group in Kansas City, and better, more talented across the board. And we could run, get out of space. We could pass block. Like I said, it wasn't. Casey was a little undersized in center. If he had a guy head up on him, but we pulled him out a lot around to get to the linebacker. I pulled a lot. We always, ran the ball left more than right. Even in New Orleans. So I was always either I was going to protect the blind side or not get a lot of help, or we were going to run the ball that way, especially with me and Brian Waters over there. So, we had to carry a big load, but once we got rolling, it was hard to stop us.
I tell you, this year, what should have been was a Super Bowl with your two teams, New Orleans and Kansas City, playing each other. So what do you feel about that, and when do you think that Kansas City and New Orleans will actually get back to the big game?
Well, I would say that New Orleans got hosed more than Kansas City. There was a few bad calls in the Kansas City game, but Kansas City they took the lead. They couldn't hold on to it. That call in New Orleans was terrible, and you see the fans didn't even want to watch the game. I know they're still upset about it. So I just hope New Orleans can get a chance to get back in the next year or two. Mahomes is going to be there. They got a good core unit in Kansas City. They need to get some more defensive players and keep building that defense up. But I hope New Orleans gets a chance to get there in the next couple of years before Drew Brees, one of the top, I'll say at least top 10 quarterbacks. I want to say top 5, but he's in the discussion for top 5 all time. If he's not top 5, he's top 10 quarterback in NFL history. He's an all-time leading passing quarterback in the history now. So I just hope if Drew Brees gets another ring, you can put him in the top 5 all time. But he's one of the best guys to do it. And Mahomes is special. He's going to be there for a long time. I like watching both of those teams play. So, I would love to see them both have some great years this year, get a chance to get a home field again. I think that Kansas City is going to be better. And the AFC is going to be tougher this year, but Kansas City has a chance to get that home field, and they're going to be tough this year. If they can find a way to have a great year again, which I think they can, it's going to be tough to go in Arrowhead. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in this draft and seeing how these teams build and get ready for next season. I hope they implement some things to help these referees, and we can get these coaches have a chance to contest. The problem was a no call, so they need to figure it out. But I have a problem with why 4 of the referees from Los Angeles would be calling a game that's in New Orleans. I think the refs should be from a neutral location. I don't think you should have 4 referees from a city that's playing in the game, roughing the game. That's just my opinion.
I agree with that. I always know that when the Raiders would be playing Kansas City, I always remembered that Larry Nemmers was always the head guy, and Nemmers was out from Kansas City. I said, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
Well,
you can't have that.
No, you can't. Yeah, and the other gentleman who's from San Diego, oh God, I can't remember his name. The guy, we called him FaceTime. He would be on. He's from San Diego, and he'd always draw a Raiders Chargers game, and you know who would be winning that game? It would always be the Chargers.
Not Ed Hockley, the big balled up one.
Not Hockley, the African American gentleman that we called him FaceTime because he would always call a lot of penalties just so he would get his name on.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but he's.
It's got to be neutral refs. It's got to be neutral. You can't do that.
You actually alluded to it. What are some of the changes made since you've been playing that you would like to see that had actually done worse things for the NFL? And what would you do to change it up to make the NFL a better game?
Well, just some of the penalties. I mean, I understand they don't want you hitting them low after Tom Brady tore his ACL, but you got to be able to touch the quarterback, first of all. You got to be able to hit him. You got to be able to run through him some. You can't not hit the. I mean, you got guys afraid to hit the quarterback. I mean, it's football. So I understand you don't want them hitting helmet to helmet. I understand that. But if a lineman, D lineman goes through, wraps his body, puts his head on the side, like when they called him Clay Matthews earlier in the year, and takes him to the ground, it's football. You're gonna take him to the ground. How can you not take him to the ground, but you can't put all your body weight on him? I don't understand that. Now, you don't need to jump down on him hard, but you're going to go to the ground with the guy. So we're cleaning that up. You got to be able to hit. They are doing a better job with the concussion stuff. I know it was down 28% this year, but it's football. You're going to have sometimes guys falling down, they're trying to tackle, they're going to hit you in the leg. Sometimes the running back, a guy's leaning over, and the guy goes to hit him. You know, if he moves around, it might be helmet to helmet. Sometimes these guys aren't trying to do it, but people are moving and falling and all kind of stuff. It's in football games, so you just have to watch it. I mean, and do the best you can to play as legal as you can. But some things are going to happen because it is still tackle football.
And I want everybody to realize this. This is Willie Roaf, a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, that said that you need to take the skirts off the quarterbacks and let the defenders go and get them. I applaud you, sir, because it needed to be stated, and I'm glad that you stated it.
Well, and the quarterbacks understand it too. They know some of it's bull crap. Just like that was a key call in that game. When that kid Jones hit him in the arm, and he said he hit him, he didn't even hit him, and they called a 15-yard. That kept the drive going. I mean, so you have plays like that, especially in a playoff game. And, that's good. That hurt the Chiefs. They would have been off the field. So, I mean, and then it's biased. Some quarterbacks are going to get more calls than other quarterbacks. That's just the way it is. So, I mean, it's like a veteran basketball player. They're going to get more calls. So, like I said, you got to let them play football. Now, I don't want anybody to get hurt out there. Look at Alex Smith, what he's going through now. It's a violent game. I mean, things happen. I tore my ACL and I played 4 more years, and it doesn't drain properly or whatever. When you decide to play professional football for a long time, I had back surgery after I retired. Things, I go to the gym, but your body's going to feel it. You're going to be dealing with stuff after the game. If you play long enough, that's just part of what comes along with it. I played football a long time in my life. I played sports 25 years, so from when I was 10 years, organized from when I was 10 years old. It's stuff that comes along with playing organized sports at different levels and making it to the NFL. It is what it is. A part of you got to give it up if you're going to play sports.
Got you. Now, here's something, and we kind of alluded to it earlier. You played in New Orleans. You played in Kansas City. Best food spots in each city that you would highly recommend to our viewers out there?
Drago's is very good. Seafood in New Orleans. Very good food. You got some hole-in-the-wall places in New Orleans. Mother's is good. If you want to go more higher end, you can go to Emo Lagosky's place in New Orleans. Very good food. And he's got a couple different places. Kansas City, I used to like KC Masterpiece. They shut it down, the barbecue place. A lot of people like Gates. Gates, they'll feed you. Kansas City's going to feed you real good. I heard Jack Stacks is good.
Well, we'll have to get you up over here to the Tampa area as well. When you go over here, we'll have to meet over at Burns or something like that. But you'll have to come over here to the Tampa area, sir.
Well, I was there for the Saints Tampa game. Me, the Hard Rock brought me, Ricky, and Morton Anderson stayed at the Hard Rock, and we went to that game. The Saints pulled out a tough game against Tampa Bay in Tampa. I had a great time too. So if I come back down there next year, if the Hard Rock brings me in there, we definitely got to get together and go to Burns. But a lot of people like Gates. I like KC Masterpiece. I think they're shut down. But you got Jack Stacks and you got some good barbecue in Kansas City.
Well, if you're coming back up here to the Hard Rock, hopefully give me some advance notice, because I do go on the road for the Raiders a lot, or I'll do everything I can to make sure I'm in town for you if you're coming up over our way.
And I know you talked about products. If you look on Fanatics, Captain Jack, we have a product that we started. We're going to try to expand it this year. It's called FrameYourGame.com. It's a helmet license plate that goes on the front of your car. We were selling them. I don't know if we sold out of ones with the quarterback or running back inside the plate as well, or what we're going to get to eventually, fans being able to customize their own picture from a game or a picture you have that you like, being able to download it from your phone and being able to get that put on the plate, so you'll be able to put that in your office or man cave, but you can also put it on the front of your license plate. And you can have that Raider helmet. You might have seen some. It looks like a helmet at the top, and it goes on the front. Or you can take the top part off and put it on your back. But, you know, our slogan was, we want the fans to put their helmet on their car like the players do on game day, and go to the games with their helmet on their license plate.
That sounds like a great thing. I'll definitely look out for it. And I'm actually going through a remodel in my house right now. I'm getting a studio, which will be a definitive man cave, mostly Raider cave, but it'll have a bunch of other sports memorabilia. So again, if you're ever in my neck of the woods, Willie, you and the wife are always welcome to come in, and I'll make sure that I have like an item that, you know, any sort of special guest, I'll have like a piece to sign, so I can say, hey, Willie Roaf was in the Captain Jack Galleon studios while you were here.
Funny story from when I went to my only Pro Bowl when I was with Kansas City after my first year. I get to the Pro Bowl. Now this, I don't know who the coaching staff was in '02, so it would have been the '03 Pro Bowl. But Rich Gannon was there. It might have been y'all, because y'all made it to did y'all make it to the AFC Championship? I can't remember in '02. And
yeah, I believe that was when Tony Serafazzo ruined our year.
Yeah, y'all made it to the Jerry Rice was playing in it too, in the Pro Bowl that year. They both were with the Raiders. Well, I'm at the Pro Bowl, and it's on my jersey, instead of a Chief patch, I think Al Davis said they had Raider patches on my jersey. I'm like, hold on. So Carl Peterson saw this and got upset. Well, they ended up changing it, but I think Al Davis was fond of me after, I ended up getting traded to the Saints. Traded to Kansas City. And I played that first year, and I went to that Pro Bowl. And that was on my last Pro Bowl. We had a great time with a bunch of fellas. I took my dad, my great uncle, and some friends over there. But, yeah, on my jersey, they had Raider patches on it instead of the Chiefs patches on it.
I'm sure that if Mr. Davis was a shall we say a constituent in that crime, I'm sure that it was definitely a good needling for the obviously the Peterson and the Hunt family, and
well, I had a great time, and that was it was a lot of fun. I got to play with Lincoln. Lincoln Kennedy made it for the Raiders, and it was me, Ogden, and Lincoln playing in that game, so that was a lot of fun. Between I like that little cousin between Ogden and Lincoln. Ogden 6'9" and Lincoln 6'6", 6'7". But Lincoln got traded from Atlanta. He went 9 in that draft to Atlanta, and when he went to the Raiders, he fit in perfectly. He had a great career. Lincoln Kennedy, for the fans I'm talking about. And he's still today a good friend of mine.
Oh yeah, Lincoln. Actually, I see him all the time when I'm out over at the games. Lincoln's a good friend of mine as well, and I get a chance to hang out with him. And obviously, as you know, that Lincoln has made a wonderful transition to the booth to be the color commentator for the Raider games in radio. So congrats on that to him. So I see that you've also made a transition to radio yourself, sir.
No, I just do. I do a blog with my friend Paul Gant. Go for it, and I just do radio when people. I do a lot of radio when people call me, but no, I don't do anything with radio right now. We're just trying to get this business going and expanding, and we're in about 10 stadiums. We're on Fanatics. We're on Bed Bath & Beyond. We're in the Hall of Fame with different players' action shots with their bios on them at the Hall of Fame store. So, I've been really focusing on this business now the last 2 years and trying to expand it and, figure out how we can get the fans more involved. We're also in a lot with University of Washington, Alabama, Auburn, USC. We have a bunch of colleges. The LSU, we have about 70 colleges. So, we're just trying to keep this business going.
And again, for the listeners out there, again, what is this product that you are speaking of, so they can take a look at it?
They can go to frameyourgame.com, or they can go to Fanatics, and they can type in NFL helmet license plate, and they will come up.
Okay. And I tell you, sir, I've really enjoyed talking to you, but I got one last question for you as well. Okay, obviously you've gotten your retirement over. What is the perfect Sunday that you have in mind that doesn't have to do with football?
A perfect Sunday that I would like now? You mean as far as sports concerned, or anything?
Anything at all. It's the perfect Sunday, but it does not involve football.
Well, perfect Sunday for me would be to get up and go to church. Go eat a nice breakfast, or at the church go get a nice meal. Take a couple of my dogs and go to the beach for a couple of hours and hang out and watch my wife while I'm sitting there in one of those big chairs, walk up and down the beach with a nice breeze, and then come home and watch 60 Minutes and watch a little TV. And then, obviously, at the end of the night, have some alone time with the missus, be the end of the night.
And again, obviously, positive and proper thoughts of making sure that it was definitively family-oriented with the missus there. And family with the dog. Good answer there. And obviously, we've heard the dogs in this interview. How many dogs do you have in your household, sir?
Oh, man, we got 4 right now. I live in the farms. For the fans, there's Jupiter, which is closer on the other side of 95, where I live, I live about 15 minutes from the beach, but I live on the other side of 95. We call this Jupiter Farms, and they have bigger lots. So we have a nice spread here, and I have 2.5 acres, and right now we have Poochie and Louie. I was moving around, I had to come in the bedroom, and I just rub Poochie, and she's growling at me. Poochie and Louie to calm down. Louis half German Shepherd, half Chihuahua. He's a little bad dog. And Poochie's a little poodle mix. And then I have Bard and Max, 2 Dobies that I've had for over 10 years. So we have 4 dogs at the house right now, and 2 daughters. Wow,
I tell you that now, and a wonderful household. You, the missus, and the 4 dogs.
And the 2 girls.
Oh, that's right. And I was gonna say your kids are still there then.
2 of them.
Okay.
One going to college, one going to Jupiter High School.
Okay, but pretty soon you're going to have that empty nest feeling, and then it's going to be lots of alone time with you and the wife and the dogs.
Yes, it will be. And one of the dogs is my daughter's dog, so it will be 3 dogs, because Louie is from California. That's Alexis's dog. So when she goes off to college, I'm hoping that Louie and she takes Louie back with her.
Okay. Well,
but I left Louie. But Louis is a little bit of a handful.
Well, I tell you, Willie, I've definitely enjoyed listening to you, again, anytime you're in this area, when I get the studio done, I'll you have a standing invitation to come on in and hang out with the captain. And I tell you what, I applaud you, sir. Your wonderful family history there, and your parents, and with your mom and your dad, and with your sister being a bishop in the Episcopal Church. Us folks in the Navy, we'd say definitely bravo Zulu to you, and again on your storied and wonderful career in the NFL. And I've definitely appreciated you spending some time with me.
All right, no problem. And when you finish, I want you to look it up and text my wife. She'll send you. My brother's a big Raider fan. His truck has a Raider helmet with the state. Oh, we have the stadium on them too. You can have the stadium all play on them. So I'll have to send you some pictures so you can post or let people see the product.
Oh, yes, sir. And I said, well, I'll have to get with you. I have a picture of me and Big Link a lot of times together, so I'll have to get a picture of you and I together. So I'll have the two bookend pictures of you two big guys with me.
When you see him, tell him hello.
I will, sir. All right, folks, that was my interview with Hall of Fame offensive lineman Mr. Willie Roaf. Be sure to come join us for other podcasts with the captain. And we hope you've enjoyed this one. Again, we'll have others here on the Black Shield and Galleon Wheel podcast. Until next time, take care and yarg from Captain Jack.